ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता अथ षष्ठोऽध्यायः। So this is the 6th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The name of this chapter is Dhyana Yoga, that is yoga of meditation. Before going deep into this chapter, I would like to share with you some thoughts about dhyana or meditation, which I have read or I have come across or what the teachers have taught me or what I have read and understood from Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads and the Shastras. I would like to share with you some thoughts about dhyana. In the first of all, I don't know whether it is right to translate dhyana as meditation, because meditation is something preliminary and dhyana is very deep. It comes in as the 7th step in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. After dhyana, it's only samadhi. So deep is dhyana. Before going to dhyana, one has to cross over the 6 steps. The important of them are control of the mind, control of the indriyas, constant flow of one thought, dharana. All this one has to cross and to come to dhyana. So I don't know whether meditation and dhyana are equal, but and normally we used to say that dhyana means meditation. So I also use that same term. What is dhyana? Dhyana is a sadhana of the mind. Dhyana is only a mental practice. Why should we do this practice? Because now our mind is very diverse. It is not focused and it is not calm. This mind may not be prepared to accept the subtle concepts of spirituality. So, before entering deep into spirituality, it is mandatory to do dhyana. Only then the mind will calm down, will become steady, so that the subtle concepts of spirituality can be easily understood or can be easily observed. uh, Dhyana makes the mind uh, suitable for accepting the subtle concept or understanding the subtle concepts of Vedanta. Now, there is a common misconception that dhyana is moksha. Dhyana is only a step towards jnana or moksha. Dhyana alone cannot give liberation or moksha. Dhyana can prepare the mind for jnana. Dhyana is the sadhana of the mind, but moksha or jnana, we have to surpass the mind, go beyond the mind. Annihilating of thoughts alone is not moksha according to Vedanta. Understanding Brahman or understanding the self is moksha. Realizing the self, be in that self, that is moksha. So there is a difference between dhyana and jnana. Dhyana alone cannot give moksha, but dhyana can lead way to moksha. So one must be very clear with it. The next thought is, when we go into the deeper layers of the mind, one may have unique experiences. That is, one may experience the different sounds, the subtle sounds. One may attain the power to see distant objects or what's happening in some other place. One may get the power to read the mind. One may get the power to read the future. All these are called the siddhis or unique power. But this cannot give moksha. One has to pass over it to attain moksha or liberation. In fact, what Vedanta says is all these powers are an obstacle to moksha. Because once when we experience that power, some people they will be obsessed with it because it is so fantastic. No one else can do that. So some people may be so much attached or obsessed with it. This cannot lead to moksha. Actually, these powers that many people say it as the in yogic tradition, they say it as the Ashta Mahasiddhis. They are just like a byproduct, and the yogis and the jnanis, just like Sri Adi Shankaracharya, they use this power as an instrument to understand better, or they use this power as to for them to attain moksha. These powers alone cannot give moksha. In fact, no one needs this power when if a person is interested in moksha or if a person's final goal is moksha, they do not actually need these powers. These powers like making the body light so that they can fly from one place to other, or making the body big, or Ashtamahasiddhis, you might have heard it, or seeing different objects, far away objects, passing the jiva from one body to other. All these are Ashtamahasiddhis, and one may or may not need this power for jnana. If one go after these mystical experiences, then definitely their path to moksha will be disturbed. So it's better to avoid these obstacles. So these are the two misconceptions generally based on dhyana. Now the next thing is there are many types of meditation. Rather, I would say it rather as different steps for meditation. The first is the relaxation dhyana, or it is commonly said as relaxation meditation, and it is very commonly used by all. It's very common meditation. Sometimes, even in many IT companies or the people who go for beauty pageants in their curriculum or in their program, or some people they may go as a flight stewards or flight attendants in their curriculum. This dhyana or this relaxation meditation is compulsory because we all live a very stressful life, and with this stress we cannot give maximum output. So the whether it is the IT companies or the people who do more stressful work, they make their employees to practice this type of relaxation meditation. So it's quite normal. In this meditation, what we do is we have to observe our mind. We have to observe the mind by the mind. We cannot directly go and observe the mind. There are few preliminary steps for this. The first thing is one must make the body steady and calm. One must take a appropriate posture or asana. The suhasana is absolute for this. One may take that asana or one may just sit like this in a chair comfortably. One must be comfortable. The spine should be erect and the head also should be erect. So, with this posture, anyone can practice this dhyana. One must prepare this body and sit in a comfortable, steady position. The next thing is the indriyas should be made calm. The indriyas should be made calm means one must not feel sleepy or one must not have hunger or thirst like that. So we must be comfortable. The next thing is one must regulate the or equal the prana. That's what Bhagavan Krishna said in the last end of the last chapter, that is in the fifth chapter, the preparatory steps for dhyana. One must make the prana and apana equal. By that, the mind will be calm for some time. After this, one has to observe the mind by the mind. Now, how to do this is we must remain calm and just observe the thoughts. Many thoughts will come and cloud when we start this meditation or when we start this dhyana. Many thoughts will come and cloud. We have to ignore all of them. Ignoring all of them means we should not react to it. Just let them pass by. Let them pass by means we should not engage with that thought. Many thoughts will come, and suddenly a thought may intrude that whether I have locked my front door, is it locked? That thought may pass by. Immediately, what we do is we engage with that thought. We go on continuously thinking over it. Whether I close the door or not, should I go and see, or someone else will take care of it? Gone. The meditation is gone. Then the thought goes on like that continuously, and it will not settle down unless and until we get up and go and check the door. So when such thoughts come, we have to just ignore it. We have to be free from all the anxieties and worry. Definitely, many thoughts will come and intrude, but we should not engage with that thought or react to that thought. We must just observe, like how we sit on a bank of a river and observe the river flow. We must just observe it. This releases our tension and stress a lot. After some time, in the beginning, maybe about 10 to 15 minutes, if we are not observing, engaging with the thoughts, if we are just observing them, then after 10 to 15 minutes, slowly the thoughts will subside. And there will be no thoughts or very few thoughts. So one can stop with this. If, as I said, in the companies and in the beauty pageant curriculum or in the flight steward curriculum, they just stop with it. Or they may use another value meditation also. If you want to stop with it, we can stop with it and come out of meditation. The next step of meditation is concentration meditation or focused dhyana. One must focus on one thought, and that thought must flow on continuously. If you are interested in spirituality, then that thought may be a mantra japa, that is continuously repeating the mantra, not at high speed and not very slow, just like Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, like that. In that calm mind, we have to put this seed of mantra that will help us to improve in our spirituality to a great extent. It can be any mantra. It can be any mantra, or if you're not in that process of spirituality, if you're in the process of personality development, then we can make short a long sentence. You should not use that long sentence. Make short it as a sutra, and you can practice like, I'm a very happy person, or I'm a very successful person. I can win over any situations easily. I'm a peaceful person, full of love. I am loved by all. All these type of sutras will help or improve our spirituality, our personality development, or it will make us a very strong and fearless person. So this is called value meditation as well as focused meditation. But in spirituality, we can use the mantra or any short sentences, that is like sutra from the Bhagavad Gita or from the Upanishads or anything that will make our mind prepare for the next step. The problem of focused meditation or concentration meditation is it will make our mind more and more focused, which means it will make our mind more and more narrow. So we will be a narrow minded person. We have seen this in daily life also. When the people do a lot of japa, they feel that they are so close to God. Because the mantra japa, any mantra, it's those words or words of high frequency or high vibrational energy. So that will easily connect us to the Bhagavan. So they what they think is only they are close to Bhagavan and the rest are all so many steps down. And we can see that in real life also when they go to temple, they just demand something more than all other people. So this is a problem of one of the problem of the ardent devotees. They feel that they are so close to Bhagavan and all. That's nothing wrong in it. Of course, they are very close to Bhagavan, but that doesn't mean the others are all far away. So the difference is that. This is because when you practice lot of mantra japa or when you become so focused, our mind will shrink and will become narrow. So focused. This mind is not suitable for moksha. So the next meditation is we must expand that focused mind. So now one may have a doubt. Why should we do focus meditation? Why can't we surpass it and directly come to of mind meditation? We cannot do that because only a focused mind can expand, or otherwise, the mind will be without focus and so diverse. This diverse mind is not suitable for moksha or liberation or to understand the subtle concepts of Vedanta. So the mind must be relaxed, focused, at the same time expanded. So next is the expansion of the mind meditation or dhyana. This is very serious. And what here one should practice is instead of a mantra, one can use the shlokas like Aham Brahmasmi, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. I am all pervading. I am in all are in me. I am this universe. I am Brahman. All these sentences one can practice. Initially, one has to practice just like a japa only. By this expansion of mind meditation, our individual ahankara will slowly begin to merge with the universal ahankara or the universal I consciousness. We will just a bit relax from that individual ahankara, that I consciousness, that will be a little bit dissolved. Now that everything is fine. We have done the expansion of mind meditation and we can understand the scriptures very well. We can understand Bhagavad Gita or we can understand Upanishad, but all this knowledge that is by Shravana and Manana, all this knowledge collected by us will settle in the intellect, that is in the buddhi. Now the problem is we have to deal with the outside world with our mind, and next only come our buddhi. We have to interact daily with this external world. Even after reading Bhagavad Gita, directly we have to go to the external world and interact with them, interact with the world, which means we are interacting with the thousands of emotions. So definitely that will disturb our mind, and what all we have collected in our buddhi will slowly begin to diffuse. Because all this knowledge are settled in the intellect, but the mind is still it is externally directed. It is directed externally. It didn't turn internal. Why it happens is because of our latent impressions in our mind. These latent impressions are our prarabdha karmas. They continuously come and disturb the mind. So, by that, we may not have the chance to follow what is collected by the intellect. For a person to do any action, it is the intellect and the mind should go together. If they are opposite, then there will be confusion. The intellect, that is the buddhi, will tell one thing, but when we go to the outside world, the mind will tell another thing, so there will be complete confusion. For this, the mind has to be trained in this knowledge. For that, the nididhyasana is the only way to train the mind. By deep contemplation, by thinking over it deeply, these words of the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita or in any other Vedantic words, then the mind will be slowly molded into the concepts of Vedanta. After that, the thoughts of the intellect can be easily implemented by the mind. Only after nididhyasana there will be remarkable transformation in a person. Before that, the person may have knowledge, but there will not be enough transformation in a person. Just see Bhagavan Krishna. Seeing him, no one will say that he is a yogi. But his mind and intellect, they both are settled in this knowledge, and he was able to perform any action with ease and without expecting the result. And that's what Bhagavan Krishna is also molding us to be. The Bhagavad Gita, 90% of the people are read by the Grahasthas. It is many people in the different ashramas also they read it. What I mean by ashrama is the sannyasa ashrama or in yogis they also practice Bhagavad Gita. But Bhagavad Gita, many grahasthas they practice Bhagavad Gita. So they have to involve in the outside world at the same time be in the Bhagavad Gita also, in the thoughts of Bhagavad Gita also. For a person in the Grahastha there will be many internal disturbances and the external disturbances also. So, being in the Grahastha and practicing spirituality is just a challenging thing only. But it is not impossible. Anything in this world is possible if we keep our mind on it. For that, Nitidhyasana is the only solution. Nididhyasana means we have to take a sentence or any concept in Vedanta and must do deep contemplation on it. There are many sentences in Bhagavad Gita itself. When we go through the Upanishads, we can take any sentence of it. Or when we go through the Shastras like Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many sentences. We can take any one of them and do complete deep contemplation on it. How is it possible? How is it Bhagavan is telling that I am all? How is it possible? Yeah, is what is it all? Is it the body, mind, or Atma? So, like this, one can do deep contemplation. This is Nididhyasana. This is a better, advanced type of dhyana, and it is very important for spirituality. One cannot go to the deeper layers of spirituality without Nididhyasana. We might have heard the scriptures, that is Shravana. We might also think and discuss with others, that is Manana. But sitting alone and with pure, full concentration, thinking deep into it, that is deep contemplation, that is Nididhyasana. In the chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna is telling about this Nididhyasana. Chapter 6 is the Nididhyasana Rupa Dhyana. And Nididhyasana, one cannot sit like that and think deeply about the Upanishads or the words said in Bhagavad Gita, just like that in the initial stages itself. One has to practice the mind for that also. So, for that, some external practices, Bahiranga Sadhana, as well as the internal practices are prescribed in the Vedas, scriptures, and in the Bhagavad Gita also. So, about the Nididhyasana, Bhagavan Krishna is explaining in this sixth chapter, Dhyana Yoga. Now, let us go deep into the chapter Dhyana Yoga and let us see what Bhagavan Krishna has to say. The first 1 to verses 6, that is Sloka 1 to Sloka 6, it is about the Bahiranga Sadhana. Let us see what Bhagavan Krishna says. श्रीभगवानुवाच अनाश्रितकर्मफलं कार्यं कर्म करोति यः स सन्न्यासी च योगी च न निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः. Bhagavan Krishna is telling that if a person do any karma, that is karma yoga, without anashrita karma phalam, without expecting any result for that action, if a person does any action, then he is the karma yogi as well as a sannyasi. Because he doesn't expect anything for what he do. The main reason is he is established in the bliss of the self. For him, he doesn't need any of this karma phala. He has more of the experience of that bliss of the self. But for the welfare of the world, for the welfare of other people, he performed that job or that karma. And the next thing is, a person in the name of sannyasa or in the name of karma, doing karma yoga, if he doesn't perform any karma yoga, that is, if he expect all the things from for his karma, as well as he doesn't do any rituals, austerities related to Agni, Niragnirna, without doing any rituals attached to Agni, or if he doesn't do any karma, then he cannot be accepted as a karma yogi or as a sannyasi. The sannyasis, they may or they may not do any austerities concerned with related to Agni. Austerities or rituals related to Agni means just like doing Agnihotra, doing Yagna, or doing at least lighting the lamp and worshipping Bhagavan and doing mantra japa. All these things a sannyasi or a yogi may or may not do. He may skip all this because all the time he is involved in doing karma or established in the self, so he may surpass all this. He may leave all this. But if an ordinary person, in the name of taking sannyasa, if he ignore all this and if he is not doing karma yoga also, then he cannot be accepted as a sannyasi or as a yogi. Yogi means a person of steady mind, or he can also mean the karma yogi. As I said before also, we can see lot of sannyasis with that sannyasa robe in them and just wasting of the time without not actually involved in karma yoga. They don't do any action, they don't do any austerities also, but just they wait of the time. So that is what Bhagavan Krishna is telling. A karma yogi, he is not attached to the bhala of the karma. And at the same time, the karma yogi can be said as a sannyasi as well as a yogi. But a person in the name of yoga and sannyasa, if he has tamoguna and if he doesn't do any action or not any of the fire austerities, rituals related to fire, then he cannot be accepted as a sannyasi or a yogi. The next shloka is Yam sannyasamitit prahuhu yogantam vidhi pandhava nahyas sannyasta sangalpah yogi bhavati kaschana. That is, a yogi, he is not concerned about the karma phala, just like a sannyasi. And a karma yogi, or whether a yogi who is deep in meditation, he is also not concerned about any of the karma phala. Because if you're concerned about the result of the action, then definitely that will disturb our mind and they will intrude why when we do meditation or dhyana. A person who is deep in meditation or dhyana, if some external thoughts like expectations, sometimes over expectations, sometimes anxiety, worry, if there is in his mind, then definitely that will disturb his dhyana. We cannot go or indulge deep in the mind. So definitely a person cannot become a yogi or a karma yogi or a yogi in steady in mind and doing dhyana for a long time, whoever it may be, he cannot go to that yoga, state of yoga without renunciation. There will not be any spiritual involvement without karma yoga. And that's why Bhagavan Krishna said, whether you, whatever ashrama we may be in, whether it is brahmacharya ashrama or the grahastha ashrama, karma yoga is the compulsory and it is the first step towards moksha. That's what Bhagavan Krishna is telling. Both of them, sannyasa or yoga, they both give the same result, and one cannot go into yoga without renouncing the fruits of the action. The next shloka is Arurukshormunir karmam karanamuchyate yogarudhasya tasyaiva kshamak karanamuchyate. Aruruksho means climb in the climbing, wishing to climb or desire to climb. This shloka is itself is very beautifully coined by Bhagavan Krishna. If a person wish to climb to the higher levels of karma yoga, then he has to perform action because renouncing the result of the action is karma yoga. And if a person wants to climb to the higher levels of karma yoga, then he has to do action. But at the same time, if that same person, if he want to climb in the higher levels of dhyana yoga, or if he want to meditate or deep go into the deep layers of the mind, then he has to leave the karma itself. He has to be without doing any action. He must be obsessed with inaction. But that is the second level. The first thing one has to do karma yoga. If a person wishes to attain to yoga, then action is the only means. But that same person or a sage who has what if he wish to attain to yoga, he want to attain yoga, then inaction is the only means. That's what Bhagavan Krishna say in this verse. Because in the initial stages, everyone cannot practice dhyana continuously. Some people, they will be very active in nature, so their mind will not settle down to practice dhyana. So they can practice karma yoga. When karma yoga is done perfectly, then half of the way is crossed because that brings equality of mind. It will make the mind steady, it will make the mind calm. So half of the way is crossed by karma yoga. Then they can practice dhyana yoga. Instead of that, if we are very active, or for some people, dhyana yoga may not be suitable without a lot of training by given to the sadhanas. Without doing lot of sadhanas, it will not be useful for the person. Because some people, for them, going directly to dhyana yoga or to go directly sit for meditation, it will not be possible for them to meditate. If their mind is very active, or by nature, if they are rajasic people or tamasic people, if they are samasic people, when they sit for meditation itself, then they will be overcome by sleepiness or drowsiness. So then the meditation will not happen, only sleep will happen. They will nicely sleep during that time. So they have to practice their mind by practicing Karma Yoga. If the mind is very active for rajasic nature of people, for them the mind will not settle down. Also for them also Karma Yoga is perfect. For some time they can do the Karma Yoga, practice the mind to see everything in equally, crossing over the dualities. After then if they practice dhyana, then it will very easily come. That's what Bhagavan Krishna is telling. To practice karma yoga, one has to perform action, but to practice dhyana, one has to leave the action. यदा हीनेन्द्रियार्थेषु न कर्मस्वनुषज्जते सर्वसङ्गल्पसन्न्यासी योगारूढस्तदोच्यते. Bhagavan Krishna is telling, if a person, if he has renounced his attachment for indriyarteshu, for the sense objects, if he has renounced it, if he is not attached to the sense objects, at the same time, if he is not attached to any karma, and not only that, sarva sankalpa sannyasi, if he has renounced to any, if he has completely renounced all the thoughts of the mind, then he is said to be a yogi. He must be detached to the sense objects, detached to the karma or karma phala, and detached to the thoughts or this dreaming, imagination. See, all of our problem come in our life because of these thoughts. Thoughts, anxiety, what will happen tomorrow? If it does happen, what will happen? If it didn't happen, what will we do? So all these thoughts make our mind so confused. Anxiety, worry, expectation, over expectation. So if a person is free of all these thoughts, then just imagine how free we will be and how peaceful we will be. But that is not easily attainable. For that only one has to do karma yoga and make our mind settle. Because when we do karma yoga, sometimes we are praised. I think some people, I have seen some humble people, when they are praised, they just don't take it to their mind or shoulders like that. They just keep calm. But if that same person is criticized even a bit or insulted even a bit, then they will just flare up. How can you criticize me? I have achieved so much. How can you criticize me? So this equality must be there because they are insulting the mind or the intellect or the body. So this maturity of mind one must attain to cross over the duality. It is not so easy, it has to be practiced. But it is not unattainable also. Many people have come over it. So that's what Bhagavan Krishna is telling. If a person is not attached to the sense objects, not attached to karma, at the same time not attached to thoughts, because it's the thoughts that disturb our mind, then we can say that one person is has a steady mind, or he can be called as a yogi. So these are the beginning first four verses of chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. I will continue with the following slokas of Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 in my next video. There are totally 47 slokas in this chapter. So I will continue with the rest of the slokas in my next video. यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णः यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूति ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम. ॐ श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु.